to Tea with Me. I am Dawn Hudgens, and today I have with me Daniel Wood. Daniel, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me, Dawn.
Absolutely. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, where you work.
Okay. Well, as Dawn said, my name is Daniel Wood. I am the Director of Counsel Assistance at Womble Bond Dickinson. I've been at the firm since 1995. I answered a want ad at that time for a document review position. So I've done a few things over the years, but started out my life reviewing documents in a basement at Womble. So I've been very, very blessed over the years to have done a number of different things, which I'm sure we'll talk about in just a couple of minutes. On a personal note, I have a wonderful wife, Becky, who I've been married to for almost 27 years. We have two boys, 23 and 21, Jackson and Davis. We also have international sons. My wife is the admissions director at a local high school, and she has brought home numerous folks from China and Lithuania. So we actually have 3 Chinese sons and 1 Lithuanian son to go along with our the two of our own. So that's just a little bit about who I am.
Wonderful. All right. So taking a look at your personal and professional journey, who along the way has left a lasting impact? And how have these trailblazers or legacy livers affected you, improved you, offered you opportunity, challenged the landscape in which you live and work? And what does that mean for you going forward?
Oh, great question. As I said, when I started at Womble, it was actually a temporary job, meant to be only a few months. And I tried to work really hard. I volunteered for all kinds of overtime and other things to show them I was willing to work hard. And after a few months, I actually had the opportunity to go work for a man named Andy Copenhaver. Now, at that time, Andy was the head of the Antitrust and Trade Practices Group. He had several high-profile, large-scale litigation document-intensive cases. Of course, back then it was all paper. And so I was asked if I would go, and I was willing to go and work on this team for a little bit. And of course I was, because I wanted to get out of the basement. But Andy actually, he was probably the smartest person I've ever met. He just was one of those people that could look at a document, look at an issue, and you could just watch the wheels turn in his mind, how the strategy that he was formulating. And he actually brought me in and allowed me to be on his team as a total noob within the legal industry. I had no background other than my few months of document review. I'd majored in history. I thought I wanted to teach, but he brought me in and he allowed me to be a part of his team. He gave me free rein to learn how to do things. So I built a database and I learned how to coordinate document review and just a lot of different aspects of the legal industry that were just completely new to me, that a lot of people wouldn't have wanted to allow someone on their team to learn on the job, as it were, because he had a great team, and some of his other paralegals they were fantastic in sort of mentoring me as well. But Andy gave me the chance to do something a little bit past what I had been hired to do. And frankly, if not for him, I would not have stayed at Womble, probably because there were other opportunities that I was sort of thinking about at that time, but he just made it such a welcoming place. And sadly, he passed away unexpectedly a couple of years ago. And I never really got the chance to thank him properly, I don't think. But Andy was a great mentor in my life. More recently, well, recent being 1999, when I started at what we call the case management facility, I sort of transitioned from a traditional paralegal role into a non-traditional practice group where we did a lot of large-scale case management work. The head of that group since 1999 is a lady by the name of Ellen Gregg. And while Andy got me started in the firm, Ellen's given me every opportunity since then. She has been a true mentor to me, and rather than sort of leaving me alone to do sort of case management work, which I was happy to do, I enjoyed it, she, from almost day one, encouraged me to stretch and do other things. And so after about a year of doing case management paralegal work, she asked if I would be willing to undertake sort of the training role for our group, not only within our own group, but then the other firms with which we worked. And so she tasked me with doing that and setting up what we were calling a user support department, building a quality program, staffing it with other paralegals, putting me in charge of sort of helping those paralegals along in their journey as well. And so I can't say enough good things about Ellen and the opportunities that she's given me. She's tough, but she's fair. She's constantly encouraged me to look beyond what I might have been comfortable doing. She knows I'm more of an introvert, which maybe isn't the best for training. But she sent me to Tennessee once to become a dynamic trainer. That was a program where they promised that, and so she said, "We're going to do this." And so I think for anyone who mentors, just being willing to encourage people to stretch and giving them the opportunity to do that. I never would have undertaken some of those things we did had it not been for her encouragement, saying you can do this. She gave me tough feedback, but fair feedback. And she's been right there beside me every step of the way, kind of pushing me forward sometimes when I needed that to happen. That's actually how I got involved with ILTA as well, was because of Ellen. She encouraged me not only to look at what we were doing within our current group, but also she challenged me to become an expert in the legal technology space and to constantly look for new trends and patterns so that we can better serve our clients. And so it was from that we started attending Legal Week, or Legal Tech it used to be. And then we started going to ILTACon. And then it was a natural progression from there to then become a volunteer within ILTA, which I've thoroughly enjoyed for the last 3 years.
Great. So you've talked, you've mentioned a couple of different mentors. You've mentioned the key attributes that they've each brought to the table. What have you personally taken away from those that you have adopted on how you work with members on your team to pull the best out of them?
Well, it's nothing too earth-shattering, but I think one thing that has to be, to me, within any professional environment, but is a love of learning. In ours, where you know as well as I do, the legal industry's changed dramatically in the last 10 years, 5 years. And so just being willing to embrace that love of learning, even if it's not in your sweet spot, but understanding that as things evolve and change, we have to be willing to do that. We have to be willing to become uncomfortable. I found myself at a AmLaw 50 firm, standing in front of a group of senior partners in New York. I was not comfortable. Obviously, I don't sound like them. Someone told me once that I have an accent. But, I was, and Ellen was right there with me, but I was uncomfortable, but I knew I could do it because she'd prepared me to do it. And she had given me the confidence that I could do it. And that's what I try to instill in anyone that I mentor or the folks that are on my team, is to embrace the love of learning, to be willing to be uncomfortable, to constantly look for ways that we can improve, and not just being willing, again, cliched as it is, to stay with the status quo because it's comfortable. I learned from my parents also the concept of volunteerism, and I think that served me pretty well in my professional life, being willing to volunteer not only for a project, but being willing to volunteer to help, whether it be with mock trials as new associates or sort of going through those programs. I've done that over the years as well. And so I think those some of those general attributes serve you well in your professional life, but just being willing to mentor and bring others along with you on your journey is always a good idea.
I agree with that. You mentioned that you've been involved with ILTA for a while and you've done a lot of volunteering. What are some of the key things that you have taken away from working with ILTA that has helped you, that you've implemented in your life?
Great question. I think, again, as an introvert, I usually like to try to figure problems out myself, which my wife sometimes says is not the best idea. But when I joined the content coordinating team, I was sort of intimidated by the sheer knowledge of folks on that team, folks like Gwen McAlpin and Deb Pinella that have been doing this and are just so well versed in knowledge management. But I think watching them and listening to them, and just the general sort of mantra within ILTA of being peer powered And for those of us who aren't always as comfortable reaching out to our peers, but just how much that is stressed of, there's a group of folks who understand what it's like to work in a law firm or a legal department. There's a group of folks who've been through a lot of these same challenges, and they're willing to talk to you and help you with it. To me, that's just been a fantastic. I know the peer powered, I like to use that one a lot, because you do feel like you're not on your own island, and you have the opportunity to reach out to others. And that's the beauty of, and I did miss in-person ILTA Con last year, because you do have the opportunity to connect and just sit down over a cup of coffee and talk to someone about an issue that you're facing, or have they done contract management software, and which one, and what are the things that they should look out for. So I love that aspect of it. I think it's just a unique organization in that everybody is willing to share, and even if it has to be off the record because you can't mention a name, just that willingness to really help other people along, again, in their journey in the legal space, because it's not easy. If you come into a law firm, as I did, without a lot of legal experience, or none in my case, you do need people to help you along, even with the terminology and the acronyms and all those things that come along with a unique profession that law really is.
So if you could boil down all of your legacy and trailblazing knowledge into like one key phrase or mantra, what would that be that you would share with others?
Well, my immediate thoughts go to things I typically tell my sons. You can't die on every battlefield, and can and should are two different things, but those really don't apply here so much in the legal space. But I think it really would be something like stretch, learn, grow, and then sow. Stretch yourself, learn more, you're going to grow from that, and then you're sowing seeds that will bring along the next generation of leaders, because we all started at a different place. And for me, I've had the opportunity and been fortunate to be in a firm since I was fresh out of college. This is my one adult job that I've had. But I've always had people willing to push me forward, bring me along, help me grow. And I definitely want to pay that forward and bring along the next group of leaders by sowing seeds that will help them do that same thing.
Anyway, thank you so much for